turn off the audio. Okay, this is the start of the 30th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And once again, as many times before, we are here with Mr. Keshe at the Mr. Keshe is at the Spaceship Institute. And my name's Rick Krem, by the way, as your host. And we'll be speaking with Mr. Keshe and others from the Spaceship Institute in Italy about a host of topics today. And Mr. Keshe has mentioned about a new approach to the work of the Keshe Foundation that he'll be presenting and describing more about today. So we're looking forward to that, as well as many other revelations as the night goes on. Yeah, sorry about that. As the night or the morning goes on, depending on your particular time-space continuum. Okay, so let's, without further ado, switch over to the folks at the Spaceship Institute and see what's going on there for this week's news. Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes, good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are. And soon we should say good, what do you call it, horizon, wherever you wake up, where you go to sleep. First of all, I would like to thank all the people around the Keshe Foundations, around the world in different name and form, which are working and promoting the new technology and new ethos of living. There are huge changes in the foundation work and approach in teaching and in a way in the knowledge which we transfer and understanding of a new knowledge. Maybe this workshop will be remembered as one of the cornerstones of change of the world of science in the way that we start disclosing information and trying to confirm and transfer knowledge. If we look back on the history of man, we started with storing things in different ways and moving things in different ways, from our own leg to the four legs of animals, and then from buckets to other different ways. And in the world of new science, we came to, you have all these bulbs some 40, 50 years ago for transferring or holding energy and using it as what we were called resistance and capacitors and the rest. And in recent past, we have come to the world of what we call microchips and transistors and whatever it is. I think from today we add another step to the knowledge of man and new tools. If you look at the whole structure of the work we've done and the books and the way we have thought has been centered and put in the language that most of you could understand, or at least some of you could connect to old and new. We have gone from, as we said, book 1, which was the universal order of creation of matter, speaking about the matter, antimatter and dark matter as was fashioned, that we could not be seen to be too radical. And in explaining that in the book, we brought in the principle of the true understanding of the work of a plasma, which is what we call the principal matter, the transition, and the matter. So it doesn't matter in which magnetic gravitational field strength you exist, you still live and obey the same rule. There are no quarks, up quarks and down quarks. The scientists who dreamt about these things, to me, they were a bunch of quacks who came up with the quarks. Now, we have to look at the reality. You are in a certain magnetic gravitational field. You still are from a source. It takes a time from the source for the field to reach you, which is that's the transition time, transfer time from one point to another. And at the point which you detect it, which become materialized to you, which is the matter state of the field. Doesn't matter in what strength you are. You are on human matter level, or on submatter level to our detection, or above our matter detection. We cannot see the two sides, but we see only what is detectable to us according to gravitational magnetic fields of the amino acids of the structure of our life on this planet. We have a very, very narrow window of detection in respect to totality of the magnetic gravitational fields of the universe. So in some cases we are wondered, we see things, and some of us detect some things and others don't do. It's just that arrangement in our amino acid is slightly different. We might have a little bit more sodium, we might have a little bit less potassium. So we see again a little bandwidth beyond others can do. But if we arrive at a point anywhere in the universe, any creation, any being, any means of intelligence and life still obeys the same system according to where they see it and materializes to them. So our teachings and the way the Foundation teachings has gone and in the books sits on the universal base. Wherever you go in this universe, it's like at the moment on this planet, somehow most of us know the word yes and no, and we can communicate at least in the language of English. The knowledge we transfer to you is the language of universe. Wherever you go, nobody speaks about the quarks and mesons and whatever they've come up with. They speak about where the source is, how long it takes from the source, the fields, both in gravitational magnetic field, to get to them, and what strength it manifests itself to them. It's very much like when you have a radio. You can go to 99, or you can go to 120 or 110. The minute you pass 99 to 99.1, you cannot hear the 99 on FM, because at that point is not detectable to the radio. So us human beings, for example, we sit at 99. But the others can go to 99 and plus 99.1. So they are aware of two fields. Is the fields the same? Exactly, there is no difference. Can we adopt systems to be able to see these different worlds that it can convert to our language and our way of understanding and seeing? In time, yes. But one of the biggest problems which all of you have been facing from the time you started these workshops, and those who followed the Keshe Foundation and my work in past 5 or 6 years and overall in past 10 years, has been what we called understanding the principle of the working in one language. At the moment, I refer to what I called always a schizophrenic condition. Confusion between matter and plasma. But from today and from this week, we had a meeting with knowledge seekers and I explained that to them. In the Foundation, we move away of talking and working in the matter level. So we consider everything in plasmatic gravitational magnetic field. What it means, how it interacts, what it means to interact, what it means when it interacts with matter. If you go back to your work and a lot of knowledge seekers work we've seen over past few weeks and months, you made these nano-coated materials. That was the beginning of the teaching, to understand the new dimension between matter and plasma. Because you still needed the physicality to confirm you are correct, because that's how man is. If it's physical, real, then I can see it, I can touch it, I accept it. As I said in the recent past, they said, if one person can replicate a pattern, then the pattern is acceptable. You have replicated the production of nano layers, hundreds of you. So the technology is 100% correct. Then, in time, we took you over to further, because it was very hard job for a lot of people to see matter in its simple state of plasma. Because up to now we were told plasma is something you cannot see. And in creating the condition, the environment, we showed you how you can release atoms that goes from physicality of being joined together to individual plasmas. We call it gases in nano state, so we call it GANs. So a GANs is a plasma which carries all the information, and at the point of the balance of its gravitational magnetic field in respect to its center, manifests itself as entity, as a ball of fields. If you look at the GANs of copper oxide you produce, or CO2, you see the attributes and the beauty of the sun, because it's exactly the same thing, but in a miniature version according to your point of view and your understanding. Therefore, what we have done in a very simple way, have brought the whole knowledge in a very smooth way, even keeping you busy for past few weeks and months to do different things, to bring you to the point where we are today. Up to now, we have worked to show you the matter and how you can create a plasma and how you can play with this plasma. As of 1st of October, as I said to the knowledge seekers, we only work with plasma. The problem or the beauty to work with plasma is very simple, is that you do not need to change colors and shapes as you need things. What does this mean? You don't need to use material to create resistors, and you don't need to create tools to make capacitors of different elements in different shape and forms. You can use the property of the plasmas which you use as a GANs or a nano layers to create new tools, new components, what we call plasma, space plasma maglev components. It's very much like chips. The difference with this, what we call MCs, maglev components, is that from now on, you use what you have created, what you have released in plasma, in holding, in containing, in resisting the fields for them to release or hold what you want to hold. In so many ways, when Luciano showed us that he drilled a hole in the what do you call it, material, and put magnets, what you call wires around it, he could release energy. This was the sign that slowly you lot are maturing to understand the process. And from this point, as I said, you make a move that you show sign of intelligence to understand, we release the information more. So from today, we try and we will stick to producing new components. Components which are magnetic gravitational based, not matter based. What does this mean? This means that from now on, you work exactly the same as the universal systems. Plasma of the solar system, which we are part of, is not held by a cup or in a cage or in a box. The plasma of this solar system is held by gravitational magnetic field, which it creates itself in the center with the sun as its principal matter, and in conjunction with the strength of the other gravitational magnetic field in the environment of this galaxy. So that dictates the size, the position of it. So whatever comes into the plasma of this solar system becomes a container of it. And whatever this solar system releases into the environment is what this can provide. So if you look at it, the plasma of this solar system is a capacitor, is a resistor, is a storage, is a battery, is whatever you want to use it. Now, what does this mean? Start understanding and using the knowledge which has come to us over centuries and hundreds of years from other scientists. Start looking in a direction that, for example, when you have hydrogen, you have one proton and one electron. Now, instead of looking, which has been habit of the scientists up to now, in the plasma of the electron and plasma of a proton, look at the totality of the plasma of the two. what we call Coulomb's barrier, or what we call the atmosphere of this planet, or whatever name we choose for different sizes. Then, if you do this, you will come to understand the reality and the work of the plasma. So, it is irrelevant how much plasma is within this container. The number of the plasma's interaction, gravitational magnetic field, becomes the player in the whole structure of the new component. The beauty of you developing these new components, what we call MagRap components, is that you don't need any wires, you don't need any connections of connecting one to another. The only connection you need is to link into the gravitational magnetic field strength of the matter itself. So it's very easy. You want to go fast, you get yourself on the faster side of the river when you're canoeing. When you want to go slower, you go to the shore. If you understand this concept, use the same with going from one point in gravitational magnetic field to another. Be it in your resistors, be in your capacitors, be in your traveling into space, or being you communicate in space. The tools of new communication with the MCs is totally different. Is instantaneous, is immediate, and at the same time is easy. What does this mean? This means go back to the very first time you made the nanolayers, and if you understood the interaction of the nanolayers and how they are made. A lot of people have a misunderstanding of totality of the how simply we made the nanomaterials. It takes me 2 minutes, but I think it will help you a lot to put a lot of the things which you've learned in the past in order. You have two choices when you have a matter. Let's look at the copper wire which you use. You can loosen the bond between the copper electrons, protons, atoms, or whatever shape or form in 2 or 3 ways. One of them is to heat it, to melt it, that it flows. Then you don't have a wire, then you have no control. Or you can heat it in an ordinary manner that become like a glue. You can attach other things to it. Chemically, you loosen it. Or in so many ways, what we do in batteries, in plating. You go for a chemical binding. The third way, and a new way, which you all do, you, with the caustic, have to understand the process. With the caustic, because of its composition, it creates a heat which does not liquidify the whole copper wire. It does not chemically release the binding between the atoms, but on the outer layer allows the freedom of the atom. So one atom is released at the right temperature. The caustic you use is literally a controlled microwave oven. That's why you find your caustic and different composition of caustics created different kind of layers with materials, different materials. So what you do with caustic is hot enough, the heat enough, the energy transfer is enough to release the Coulomb's barrier bond on the top layer of the copper wire. But immediately as it's released, due to the gravitational magnetic field of the environment, which is the Earth atmospheric condition, this thing comes like a ball balancing between the matter state to join to become again as part of the copper wire, or stay as an individual single atom the way it is. But the process is so rapid that it becomes like a jungle. It gets filled up full of atoms. So now, only thing you do when you put your copper wire in the position up in a container to let it to what you call drying, but I call reorganization. by indicating a flow, you set the lines in order. So now, by that process, you set a pattern for the then what we call atomic structures to find in respect to each other. And it goes back again. If you remember, in gravitational magnetic fields, what we shown to you was a magnet always finds its position in respect to the other magnet in two ways. It attracts itself or it repels itself, depending if it's receiving or is sharing. If I try to show this in a simple way. If the magnets, try to see if you can see it, it'll be easier for me. If the magnets are sharing, you have what you call gravitation. And then it allows the magnets to attract with each other and become one. Can we make this closer to be seen? Then it's easier. So what you do in your layers, if you allow the magnets to join, to link up, you got gravitation. But if you allow the magnets to find each one of these magnets, they're like plasmas. It's exactly the shape of plasma. The center of the magnet, where is about here, this is where the principal matter sits. Where you come to from the center to the side, that's your transition line. And what you see as a ring of the magnet, this is your matter state. So these ring magnets literally clearly show the property and the strength and the way a plasma works. If I move the magnet to each other, you can see the other one moves. So what you do, or what you've done in your nano layers, this is what you have created. What you have created is you released, if this pen was the copper wire, you have released now 2 atoms from it. But these atoms now position themselves in respect to each other and to the copper. So you create, if you follow the same pattern, you create atoms with a certain distance from each other. And this gives you what you call a layer. This is one layer of nanoatomic material, or what we call nano layering. So now what you have what you have is in fact a atom, what in respect to the other atom magnetic gravitational strength in what we call maggrav positioning. So one magnet, according to the its field strength to the other one, it creates a distance. Take this as a sun, this is the Earth. Where gravitational magnetic field of the sun is in balance with the Earth is where we stay. This is our position. So if we do the same, thing, you see, if I move the one magnet, the other magnet moves because it has to keep its position, its distance. So now you see you have an atom, you have a space. And each space you have is dictated by the amount of maggrav mass you have within center of the atom. So if you have CO2, the space will be smaller. For example, if I can show it with the other rings, this will be the space for CO2. But if you have a copper oxide, the magnets will be the spacing. So you can see how the spacing is dictated. The gravitational magnetic field between 2 atoms, it dictates the gap which it creates in respect to each other. So the new space components, or what we call maggrav components, works on this principle. You play and you do and you make systems which are space dependent according to the magnetic gravitational plasmatic condition. It's very simple if you can see it. I'll try to replicate it in a much simpler way that you can understand this in a simple way. So, in fact, if you take these atoms of different materials, and what you can do, you can go from one space into another to create a motion, what you call a transfer of energy, or you can use one to contain the other. When you have a lot of small ones, like let's say these black ones are the hydrogen, the gaps are smaller. You can use them to hold the copper oxide. These are the new batteries. These are the new gravitational plasmatic plasmas components. You use the spacing, and at the same time, as both have gravitational magnetic field, both the hydrogen and the copper oxide, they keep their distance. So you literally, what you do, you make containers to hold because of spacing in atomic structure. This is how the universe makes its batteries. This is how energies are held even within the plasma center core itself. So what happens is that you make a field containers for your material. Then you understand you do not need matter to make batteries. This is one of the problems that you've had in past few weeks playing with nanomaterials and GaNs materials. But you can use the reverse. You want higher current flow. Very easy. You use a stronger field in the back to push the hydrogen through the gap. This does two things. In passing, creates friction or interaction between gravitational magnetic field of the copper oxide and the hydrogen. And in gap, because of the interaction, you go back to the principle of the creation of the light in the universe. We always said, when you have gravitational magnetic field of the Earth interacting with gravitational magnetic field of the Sun, the four forces, two pulling apart and two pushing together, creates a friction, which the residual is the light. So if you understand this new combination, you do not need LEDs. You do not need light bulbs. You design materials which the gravitational magnetic fields, the gap is large enough to allow the others, one or two plasmas to go through at a time. Then you dictate the intensity of the light you want to use or create. If you put another material in front of once the material when the light has gone through, which has to slow down, the interaction and positioning of the two creates a friction of the barrier. You have your heating element. Cost zero. Material availability, the universe. You don't need to dig mines to get copper, to find new elements to make LEDs, a new system. Transfer of energy instantaneous. Control the wish, the desire to create light. So from today on, we go with the production of new components, new materials, irrespective of material state, but in gravitational magnetic field strength. So you find out from now on, and the knowledge seekers has started from yesterday, developing systems which are totally work between magravs, magnetic gravitational fields of GaNs and nano layers. They joke with each other. They had a very nice joke yesterday in how to try to create a light, but in reality they're not very far with it. So you see the new components. You want resistors, you want to slow down, you want to speed up, you want the size of the storage to change. You carry enough power in one of your copper wires which you have coated that is used by all the nuclear and all the thermal power plants around the world. It's just you who have to understand how to release this power and how to control it. So from now on, we don't look to build transistors or resistors or batteries or capacitors. It will take you a few weeks or a few months according to your intelligence to understand this principle and start using it. We saw initially this was shown by Vince and Brad a few weeks ago with putting two nano layers and aluminum in between. What have you done? You allow the release of gravitational magnetic field from a nanomaterial interaction with the matter on both sides. And what do you get? You collect the magnetic field plasma. We saw the presentation that when you connected the wire from around the hole in the coil, you had a higher voltage, but you couldn't see the current. The current is in the plasmatic magnetic field level. The voltage is something you can measure because of the matter state of the LED. So now we have to start developing tools that we measure the balance between gravitational magnetic field, distance between atomic structure in a simple way the man on the street can use, like a voltmeter, a system that we can tune into to be able to travel and move and create energy. And all this can be done in a simple way in what we call the OSS system. When you have an OSS system, in part of the system wire, you carry the light, you carry the plasma transfer, your friction, it becomes a light. You increase the field strength and the motion between the two, you make your tent. That's your earth. You create a small magnetic gravitational tent which you are safe in from the elements. That's what Earth atmosphere does for us in the plasma of the solar system. Then you want heating to warm up, you create a friction between two plasmas. Cost less than a cent. It's not, if we would have told this to you a year ago, they say the guy's a lunatic. Now we are all lunatics because now we are all understand it. Now is the next step for mankind, detach from matter. Then, if you understand this process and you can close the gap strong enough, you can field, mix and add the two hydrogen atoms because you create a dilution position to each other. And how many of these hydrogens you want to choose to add to each other. When you release the plasma, this is the real fusion. Fusion, the way the scientists are working on to add the plasmas and then you get the helium from hydrogen, has never happened, will never happen, and it does not exist in the universe. Fusion comes by amalgamation of the plasmatic magnetic fields, and then when it's enough and you can release it according to its environment, it manifests itself as the matter. So if you can add all these hydrogen atoms together and find balance in the content, what you will see, let's say for example, the plasma of gold. When you release that plasmatic condition at the field strength you need, you will have atomic gold. So you can create as much gold as you like with a little copper wire. But you have to understand the process. So gold has no value nowhere in the universe except on this stupid planet. You kill each other for it. For what? What it can be done, and it's done daily on every spot of the corner of this universe. Now we start producing what we call Magrav components. It'll take time for you to understand. It'll take time for you to realize how easier it is to work with. Then you realize you can produce anything you need anywhere in the universe, independent of the position. If you can make a continuous line of production that you open at the end, for example, the line at this end, a condition that when these atomic structures join together as their plasma, you can continuously make an iron bar, a wood bar, an aluminium bar, depending on positioning and how much you allow the container to become. So the channel in the middle becomes amalgamator of the plasmas, and at the end you decide how much you want the slice of the bread to be, and that slice, thin, thick, thicker, becomes hydrogen, becomes oxygen, becomes amino acid. It becomes anything you like. For example, to make food in the protein level as amino acid that the man can use, you don't need to fuse hydrogen and carbon. You release the plasma in packages, which are the packages of plasma of the amino acid. All you're going to get is a continuous fat at the end. Then you decide what you want to add to it. So the production of the new systems, new materials, what we call Magrav systems components, started from yesterday in the foundation. They are like little children, eager to see if they can do things, but in time they understand how easy it becomes. I don't apologize for taking you a long way to get here, but in the way we had to do it for you to understand the process, at least some of you. So from today, we add to the shelf of the knowledge of the equipment available to man the universal components, what we call Magrav components. Anywhere in the universe, you can create it. You can have whatever you need. You don't need to be dependent to come back to Earth because you have to take some piece of a steak, or you need a piece of aluminum for a component somewhere in the system, or in the what do you call it, in the craft you fly. In time, the scientists will make the chart and the systems that will come. It's very much that you go to a shop and you can buy any kind of what do you call it, materials you need. It'll be change. It's a huge revolution. It'll create a huge unemployment. But the creation of huge unemployment will bring peace, because people have more to serve and enjoy the quality of their life which is in the universe. Nobody goes to work 9 to 5 to earn something that he can put in his mouth that the body can survive. Nowhere in the universe anybody works 50 days a week or 98% of their lifetime to have 2 weeks holidays, to have 2 weeks rest. This is the misconception, materialistic dependent of man, which has been growing and growing. And now we put an end to it. We've seen people in China have started making cups of life, and they do all sorts of things. Use the cups of life, if you make it the right way, to be the storage capacities of life, not for you to drink and then just carry on. We have shown you small ways, little things on the way in past months and years. But now we bring it all together, that as Elias said yesterday, it's like a jigsaw, pieces all there, now it's coming together that you can see the beautiful picture. Then you understand, if you have a virus, what does a virus do? It has more fields it needs to give to be attached and to move. You put it in a container, you create a field container that it can strip it of its surplus by linking to another magnetic gravitational field of the stronger material. There's no virus anymore. This is how we are handling the situation and the research in Ebola in Africa. We don't destroy the Ebola, or what they started to test yesterday as a preliminary test as E. coli, because it's not very far, but at least it's safer. When is a virus, is energy dependent. All you do, you put a gravitational magnetic material like a CO2 or copper oxide or other materials which we developed near to it, that is magnetic field links to the new material. And by linking to the new material, its energy does not go in or extract from the blood cells to become thinner, that they pass through the wall of the body, that it causes bleeding and death. That's all it is, as simple as this. That's why you saw the reduction in gamma rays in Fukushima instantaneously. It wasn't that the system took half an hour to measure how much radiation was reduced. It was the man-made systems which needed half an hour to detect what happened instantaneously. So in cases of the viruses like Ebola, like E. coli and AIDS, which now we started full physical test in Africa yesterday, now we drain or we link the energy of these, what you call viruses, these molecules with this extra energy into the link of the materials which are in the state of plasma, what we call GANs. So they link to each other quickly. You don't need to go and find it. The process of killing is a habit of man, and that's why you have all the problems. Process of sharing and understanding and facilitating is the behavior of the universe. So when you produce the GANs in Fukushima or in Ebola or any other condition, you don't destroy the Ebola. You facilitate to extract this extra energy to in line with other materials which is in its wavelength, which is in its strength. If the material does not work on Ebola, it means two things. It's out of tune. It's like what I said, it's on the 99, or it's on 98, or it's 110, or 100. But Ebola is at 99. So you have to find a material which is at magnetic gravitational field of 99 that you can link up with the fields of Ebola, and you attract it and becomes part of you. So that extra energy is not available to extract or produce conditions that the other cells in the body reduce in size. You got to understand the viruses in the universe are called viruses for one reason. They give energy or they extract energy because they needed the center being weak, it needs a stronger field. Very much like the capacitors and the resistors you created, as I showed on the layer of nanolayers. They are like a nuclear materials radiate radiation out. If you have viruses with radiate radiation out, it is very easy to control because it's easy to start with the hairlines of the silkworm. You can get right to the silk in the middle, to the worm. The viruses which go from in and they take fields from other materials, these are not that hard to what you call control. But you have to find a way that you can put a plasma on the way that become the source and detect, what do you call it, disconnects the connection to your material to body. What this means is that you put a system that a battery available to the virus, that the virus takes the material from your battery as a given rate, and in that time it gives you a chance for the body to repair itself. And then you remove it because you put the material, you put the battery there, you can remove it, and in removing it, you remove the virus. Microbes are totally and utterly the product, the atmosphere of this planet. Outside the boundary of this planet, you hardly find microbes which affect the body of man. But in the universe, you have viruses. Viruses are magnetic gravitational field dependent strength. Let's look at Ebola. Why does Ebola lead to bleeding through the tissues of the blood vessels? Ebola is of the second characteristic. It takes energy from the blood cells that in time they reduce in size that they can pass through the wall of the blood cell. So they penetrate. You go and buy a poison to do this job. There is no difference between what you call the medicine is given, the rat poison is given to the people who have heart valves to thinner the blood, or aspirin, and Ebola. So you reduce the size that it can go through. We know as matter state this technology very well. In washing powders, present washing powders, they use the oil of orange because of its narrowness and its thinness to be able to pass through the cloth to take the dirt with itself. That's why you can wash at lower temperatures. In the olden days you had to cook and cook till you could separate the dirt from the cloth. The same as what you do with boiling of the copper wire. Now with orange, because of its small structure, you pass it through and you can work on a lower temperature in your washing machines. The same process applies. Now Ebola does two things at the same time. In one sense, it reduces, extracts energy from the red blood cells or the plasma of the blood. In another sense, as it extracts this, it transfers in a very direct way the energy to the wall of the blood vessels. So in reducing one, it hits the other one to expand. So that's why it's a rapid death. If you can produce or introduce gases which can cross the wall, the energy of the body, that they can join the blood circulation system very rapidly, the energy which is extracted from the plasma of the blood, what I call plasma, not plasma as we talk in blood, plasma as gravitational magnetic field of the cells of the protein we call red cells or the white cells, then there is no effect. Then the energy will not come out of the red blood cells to be thinner, that will be given to the wall, that will be strengthened. And it opens up, that it leads to bleeding and death. So you create a balance, and in time the GANS state will be discharged into the liver or into urine, and it just comes out. So you need enough time to take whatever is created out of the body. And this should give us a chance to do it. Would it be done by infusion of blood system coated with nanomaterials or GANS materials? We have to see what the trials bring. There is no failure. If it doesn't work, it means we haven't created the right gravitational magnetic component to do the job. Can we use external materials? Possible. We are looking at it. So from now on, we stop using transistors and resistors and capacitors and batteries, where we use the same terminology, but in components being made of what you call GANs of materials, plasma of the materials. The work will be so fantastic, the energy transfer will be so quick, the information transfer is the present computer systems will be like obsolete, like your dinosaurs. But then you understand the component size will reduce drastically, because one plasma of CO2 carries enough energy to last your lifetime and plus few generations of your great-grandchildren. Because a plasma, by releasing its energy from its center, is staying as an atomic hydrogen that is part of the water which has been on this planet for thousands and millions of years, has enough energy to be able to stay hydrogen for millions of years. It carries a huge amount of energy in its principle, in its center. The energy you take out of it is a fraction of its lifetime. It's a spring which you put in a clock, which never completely unwinds, but it always have energy because you didn't release it fast enough. Then you understand, in a very simple way, there is no need to create wars to have energy. There is no need to kill a man to have something because you can have it yourself. Now, it's fantastic. We, as all of you know, we are working in collaboration with the Japanese in respect to Fukushima. And I was explaining to the knowledge seekers yesterday, for the first time in the history of the man in the recent centuries, Africa is head of the most advanced second or third nation in the world. Reason: we asked the Japanese, or they have asked us, can you send us some Gansav materials? Even though we shown them, they don't want to produce it because they think they have different things. Where we thought the Africans have done it themselves, they bought the materials, they developed it, they understood it, they don't need to be spoon-fed, and the whole development of the Ebola, the new lighting and energy system, is done by the Africans, for the Africans ahead of the Western world. In Africa today, as you wake up, tests are going on in how to do the Ebola, new production of energies, systems for the Africans, and you cannot take this away from them. They've been taught in detail, scientifically, step by step, that the professors, the doctors, the scientists in universities understood, and now they are doing it. So Africa at the moment is ahead of the Western world in developing and in fighting diseases. As I said to the scientists yesterday, Africa will become the center of this disease viruses because of the knowledge and the step they took so fast. They carry the knowledge because they understood the knowledge, and the objectives of the foundation is served. We have achieved the purpose to share knowledge directly, irrespective of position, culture, color, and wealth. We will see the results. If it works or not, if it works, we are good enough, we produce the 99 level. If it's too good or too bad, we have to adjust it to bring it from 100 to 99, or bring it up from 98 to 99, that it matches. But now, African nations will come far ahead of the materialistic world which we have created, just to save their own lives. The data coming that 3,000 people died from Ebola, actually, to what I understand, what I talk and what I see, I think you got to put at least 10 or 20 in front of it. Man has never been afraid if 3,000 people died. Man has been afraid when 30,000, 300,000 people are dying and he has no control. The situation in Ebola is far beyond even the imagination of the man. So instead of going to obstruction and blocking for FDA and all these facilities made to make the rich richer and steal from the others, has come to an end. FDA worth not even the paper written and the rules of it anymore. Because the man in Africa does not give a shoot if FDA is there or not, if he's dying or is his child dying. Maybe FDA can start learning from the Africans to free the knowledge that everybody can use. The same technology has been offered directly to the American government, as we have seen the first case of Ebola. I was reading yesterday with Elia about the first case of Ebola in the United States. The man has traveled on a plane from Africa, from Liberia to a state, and they say he has not transferred it to no one. I think the guy knew he has Ebola. He stood his hands up all the way. Somebody carried his luggage. He didn't shake hands. They gave his passport to the custom officer. He did not get a taxi. He did not held his hand on the chairs as he walked off the aisle of a plane. So there is no Ebola in America. Now, every man, if the results come correct from African universities, can make to protect his life and his family and their nation directly themselves at zero cost. We will see the results in the coming weeks. And this is what we call MC, maggrav components. Your CO2, your copper oxide plasma is a maggrav component. Now you have to mix them together. And as I explained to the knowledge seekers,
Is it just me, or did it cut out?
Yeah, we seem to have lost the sound with the fact we've lost the
It looks like we
connection.
lost the Spaceship Institute.
Yeah, you could say that. That's kind of a
John, are you there?
drastic way of saying it.
John should be on the other line. Hopefully he can still hear us.
It's funny, he cut off right at the point where he said, and as I was saying to the knowledge seekers.
Yep.
Okay.
No answer from John either.
Okay, Spaceship Institute is trying to come in here.
Go on. Are you there, John? Oh, I lost the recording. Oh. Yep, I did.
Hello?
Oh.
Are you?
Yes,
You're online.
Yes, hi.
Spaceship is aligned with the ship from the
I'll cut off the sound for a bit there.
Okay,
it's us ringing. I think we got the same problem again with the link. So what we were, can you hear me?
Yeah, if you hang up on the Spaceship Institute and call back, you should be able to get back in.
Okay, we're calling you now. Are we back on? I've done that.
Rick, do you want to bring them in?
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
Hello, you're back. Okay.
Make sure John mutes, please.
Just 1 second. We switched equipment. And it was yours.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah,
Perfect.
very good.
Okay, so what we have come with and where we are now is the introduction and production of new materials, what we call maggrav positioning. And you all know what to do and how to do it. But we go back to one main principle concept which a lot of you missed, or some of you didn't understand. To create a condition of development of any or holding a specific gravitational magnetic field, you need minimum of 3 different ganses or nanolayers. This is fundamental. Go back, if you remember, in the example of the yolk of an egg, which I showed you. In egg, the only life which comes with it, with life, it starts, is when you have a egg, you have a yolk and you have a white. If you can see the picture. When you cannot see the picture, we try to focus the camera. Can you focus the camera, or we cannot change it? We have to change the camera for teachings. Maybe thicker pen. Or do we have a bigger, thicker pen?
Now you can see something.
Wait, we can see something. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much. So if we go to this, I think you can see a thicker pen now. Yes? So, can you see it? Hello? Okay, I can see it. I can see. Okay, so this is the yolk of an egg. It's actually an egg. The outside, the black, is your white. And in so many ways, when you have a yolk in the middle, the yellow, if you can see it, you have no life. You have a limited life because between the yolk and the white, there is a balance. When you introduce the egg from the cock on the corner, if you can see it, then now you create a 3-layer where the two have to transfer the energy. The same yolk and the same white have to transfer the energies with a misbalance in between. And that's where in the red, where the life of the chick starts. If you remember what Elias showed you last week, where in embryology, the first seed of the brain started in the skin in the middle layer. The energy above, which comes from the womb of the mother, and the skin which covers it, the middle layer and the inner layer. And that's where the life started. This structure starts, the brain, the position in the covering. Depends what is in that position. So, to be able to produce effective materials in a way that you have control in their production and in their energy transfer from one field to another and holding, you will find out you need 3 ganses, 3 magravs, 3 nanolayers. And then you get hold, you understand, and you can facilitate new components, and these components will take over faster than ever microchip did, because you can produce it in your kitchen. There is no way any government can put restriction on what you can produce in your house, because the government officers will do it in their home because they need to have food for their children not to be hungry. If, and as fast as the Keshe Foundation researchers like you lot develop and put this out in public in a way that everybody can understand, by using systems, by doing other bits, the faster we'll take across the message and the end to this mayhem which we have at the moment because of materialistic condition. The CO2 kit, which is supposed to be the foundation, the basis for this, is already ready. It's just that our video for the transfer of knowledge was not up to date, so it's been redone and hopefully will be released today. So you can buy the kit and start doing it. You can buy different arrangement kits that in the same kit you can produce copper oxide, you can produce CO2, or you can produce CH3. So it is not that, okay, I only have a kit. You write in your kit what material, which plates you need. You add to it, we add to the package, you receive it, you put it in 3 containers. Now you can start the process of producing what you need if you understand the process. We crawled in, but we'll take over very fast. Because the knowledge is what you're made of and you understand it very, very quick. So it is very easy for everyone to do what you call it. We came in as a CO2 for people to help themselves with the mess. But the main target was to be able to achieve masses with a new plasma technology. And we have achieved it, and we achieve it much faster. So we start teaching about the development of these components from now on, week by week, because we have finished with the matter state. No one has ever put a GaNs material in public domain in such a way that you can use it, you can find applications of it. If you are an agriculturalist, use it to create gravitational field of the material you need in the nitrogen that you can produce, and you don't need no fertilizer to contaminate. If you are an air pollution interest, clean the CO2. If you are an energy producer and you want your free energy, you already have it, you've been blind to it. Now you can produce materials which work in a GaNs state. One of the problems you have to charge your batteries, for example, battery has a certain voltage barrier. You have to add so many units that you pass that voltage barrier, and then when you pass that voltage barrier, you can only charge the plasmas which are available in that magnetic field in your battery. So we need to create new constructions of batteries that you can hold the level which is all in the plasmatic condition field of the material energy level you're storing. A lot of you will find out if once you start charging your batteries, rechargeable batteries, when you do it with the equipment you buy for the matter state, it'll give you 3 hours. The new batteries with the charger will give you 7, 10, 20 minutes. Because it's not that it's not charged the battery. It only charges the component of the battery which are in that magnetic field level of what you're charging. So now you have to make a component using one of the housings of your own material as a battery, as a storage place of magnetic field, which your light lasts hundreds of years. There are no elements to wear, there is no contacts to lose, there is no breakages in the line, there is no need for a battery to do anything. You can make a construction exactly the same as the gaps we explained. If you make a component of the plasma in a GaNs material, of the GaNs material in a nano layer, the interaction between the components of the GaNs material with the nano layer, through the gaps of the nano layer, as you see in the magnetic gaps, will release a light which you need. With a 10 centimeter wire, you can light the whole city if you understand it, exactly what to do. And the light can be forever. Very much it will become the 6-month North Pole daytime and 6-month nighttime. And it's so easy to do, cost zero. How are we going to do it? You already done it, you already produced the nanomaterials. Start understanding the production of dynamic and control of the plasma inside a nano layer, or ganses inside each other. Try to find a way that your ganses can, 2 different ganses or 3 different ganses can rotate in the transparent plastic. You produce enough light. The friction between the layers, between the plasmas, between the ganses will release enough energy. That's what you need. So from today we start making maglev components irrespective of matter. But all the rigmarole which we've been through with caustics, with nano layers, with making GaNs, needed for you to understand the process. And now it needed to be able to produce what you need. Once you start using the GaNs state of matter, from matter, you have just started even the first step on the ladder of the knowledge of universe. Because in universe, where are you going to find copper to produce the GaNs? Then you understand how to absorb the fields in the universe, that their magnetic gravitational wheel becomes the GaNs strength or the field strength of the material you want to use. The production goes up to top, from top to bottom. But at the moment, I think there is enough struggle to understand even the first step which we introduced today. Maybe in the month to come, we start teaching you how to absorb cosmic rays. Because whatever ray is here on the planet is restricted by the barriers of the magnetic fields of the earth firstly, secondly by the solar system. So man in its present position where it is not, does not have and does not understand universal magnetic fields. Because it's very much living in the communist countries and you only see one channel and what they want to show you. When you go outside, you go to America, 200 channels, 400 channels, you can see everything. This, at the moment, because of the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, being again cocooned in the gravitational magnetic field of the solar system, each one has made barriers for keeping certain things out that allows the life the way they can hold on to as it is now. When man goes beyond Earth in a very different way in the deeper space and then passes through the barrier of the plasma of the egg of the shell of the solar system, you come to understand totally different concept and understanding of the solar system and the energy and the distribution of magnetic fields in the universe. We don't see it with all the research we do because our equipment is tuned to 99, not to the others. But once you go across the barrier, you receive it, you want it or not. And then the whole structure changes. When you pass galaxial barriers into the universal density, then we teach you a new system. Because again, the fields within the galaxial barrier is like a Coulomb's barrier. Whatever is outside the Coulomb's barrier, inside is a copper, outside is acid. Then you have to understand how to live in the copper, as a copper in the acid environment of the universe. So the teaching has just started from yesterday, the way the universe works and universal components, not man-made materials. But as I said to Marco came and asked, because I said from now on we change the teaching that everyone, we don't do it as before, that everybody comes and shows what they made and what has happened. From today, as happened with Dr. Elia last week, one knowledge seeker presents the full knowledge of one topic which they choose every week. So we bring order in teaching in the language of what they understand and what you understand. And if there is a major breakthrough in something development, we show it. We had to let the kindergarten grow, and now we are going into class 1. They have to understand the orders, because that way everybody was getting to know everybody and everybody was trying to understand the new tools which are in the playground for play. So, as I said, Marco said, you know, in the first book you speak about matter, antimatter, and then in the other book about principle. I said I spoke in the first book. In the first language, at least you could connect with it, you could understand. As you understood the irrelevance of the present physics plasma to the reality in the other books and follow up, I start teaching you about the plasma of the universe. And now you know about the plasma of the universe, you have to understand how to conduct, how to behave, and how to use it for the advantage of the man. So from today, if you speak with LEDs and transistors, we speak about MCs, which is magnetic components. And this means for every component you make, you consider magnetic and gravitational at the same time. You cannot ignore it, you cannot deny it. One of it is if you get 2 copper wire you made and twist them around each other, which are nano-coated, you find out you get no current flow. You call it resistance. You can put a flow in the copper and it goes to the other side without blowing a fuse or whatever. So then now you have to go back to what just explained a few minutes ago. When you have the yolk and you have the white and you put the egg between the yolk and the white, I said you find the flow. Now you have to understand about magnetic currents, because it's not only the magnetic field which goes through the egg 3 layers, but it's gravitational too. So you have 6 elements to work with. And if you start understanding this, then you enter into the universal organization of the working of the matters. Then we go back to the next step, and then we add to the knowledge. You are in a stage now that in all your reactors you have at least, or most of you have produced 3 different ganses. Start looking at ganses as magnets. If you don't understand the GANs, do what I did. That's why I brought these magnets on the table. Use different magnets. Consider which one is weaker. Look at the atomic structure. You have copper oxide. Copper oxide is very simple. You have CuO. So the Cu, you call it, I always consider copper at 60 because it's easier for me than 63. And then you have a O, which is 16. So your material is, even if you consider that 63, is 79. You want me to go higher? You go to 79. So your plasma size is 79 according to the number of protons and neutrons which are in there. Now you work with CO2. With a CO2 you have a carbon of 12 plus 2 oxygen, which is 32. This gives you 44. This 44 should give you an indication what size the gap it is and which one you can use as a container and which one you can use as a light system. If you have the red material, which is CH3, now you have 12 plus 3 is 15. So now you start understanding the use and the way you can roughly get an indication what can be a container, what you can use to move across another, what you can use to create release light, what you can use to be storage, knowing that which one accepts more energy in what environment. Then you consider the gravitational magnetic field of your environment, which you have created. And then you put them in, or you use one as a container for the other. Now you have entered the condition which the universe works and connect with each other. Now you understand you don't need transistors of different colors and different things. Now you work with the atomic structure size. How many electrons, how many protons, how many neutrons, and how I can take a neutron and proton in a plasma condition and put 4 or 5 copper oxides together, or 4 or 5 other things, and make plutonium, gold, or whatever I need. For the first time last week, I showed to the knowledge seekers the gold which we produced in the atomic layer condition in Tehran. We have never shown it in outside. It was shown to the knowledge seekers because I just happened by accident to come across it. And we used a valve to control the condition of the inside the plasma. So we have managed to make gold out of the plasma of the hydrogen. And it's here, it's been kept. And it's not a 1 or 2 dots. It's in nano layers. You can clearly see it in layers. So those who are killing to have more gold, please contact Keshe Foundation. We give you tons of it at no cost. We show you how to make it. National gold reserves worth 0 as of today, because all of you can produce it. And it's not mine. Now you understand how to bring the hydrogen atoms together. Now you know how to contain and force magnetically for the fields to open up and merge each other. So I would like to ask if any central bank is short of money that can use it as a reserve to boost their economy, to contact us. We show them how to do it. At the beginning you might make 2 or 3 kilos a day, but very soon you make a few tons a day. This is the structure to stop the mayhem which has been going. Who's going to be richer? if need be, we can make mountains of gold. Everybody can go and dig as much as they like, but they have no value anymore. You have to understand why man is attached so much to gold, because it's one of the first elements he could melt and manipulate, and he became valuable to it. When it became the second material and third material, iron and the rest had no value. That's why in this planet gold has a value, because it was the first time. It's like a first child is always dearer. But this dearness is that you have too many children, now they all have to be treated equal. So we start teaching from now on in a rare essence of the creation. And now the reactors which are built by Arman are a first step to this condition. The reactors we had up to now, which you saw from the beginning, they were made of composite of different materials, so we had to adjust different things to achieve anything with it. When they were used individually, they had the power to do things. When they were used in conjunction to make a star formation, you achieved very little, but we see field difference. The reactors, copper reactors, which are built by Arman, which is now with the hand of our Italian colleagues, making the last adjustments to it because we found some problem with it. Because everything is exactly the same, we have a number of hydrogen protons, because each cell will behave as one proton. Now we can add the work of the 4, we can create the first helium. And then, in respect to the field they create, we can find positioning. As Arman told you the week before, we achieved what you call 80 gram reduction. And in the working of last week, because we changed the structure of organization, immediately within the first day or so, he achieved weight gain, which was he was sinking. He went up by 20 gram. Then we found the problems. Now it's getting reset and we go back to process. So for the first time in the lab, it's been videoed, we've seen both weight gain and weight loss. And I explained to them why we need time to create weight gain or weight loss, because the fields have to find in balance and then finding their position in respect to the Earth, it takes time. But with a new reactor measurement, which has arrived yesterday or the day before, which is now Arman is working on, we can measure more or less in the field strength, the magnetic gravitational field of every plasma gas we produce. It's a very beautiful small system, but now it gives us the facility to measure the current flow in the center of the reactor. We had this facility with the reactors we built 6-7 years ago. Now with the development of the GANs, we needed to know it is very a small package, the same as the others, so we can adopt it and use it. So from now on, we speak about universal teaching and we walk away from kindergarten of matter. I hope this wasn't too much and it was just about right, but slowly we build on this knowledge. We do not have the condition situation to show new batteries and the rest. So now we start teaching according to understanding of the each knowledge seeker. Every week they get half an hour to explain in what they want to teach, because these are the teachers of the future, so they have to start learning how to teach in what they understand to transfer the knowledge. And as I said yesterday to knowledge seekers, they start becoming specialized in what they like to do. Maybe in 1 or 2 fields. So you'll find like Arman will do a core reactor with a nano coating. John would like to do something to do with material or whatever he's happy is. Dr. Ivan Michel will do what is as part of his field with dentistry and the reactors. We have Dr. Elia, which will do the medical application in what is going to be done. And we have Marco, which he decides in what field he wants to expand his knowledge, and because he enjoys it, he will transfer the knowledge freely, with pleasure. So you'll see a change in the structure. On the other hand, there is a major, major problem, and that is the teaching of the children. I've received a lot of, what do you call it, different point of view about the way this is going to be done on Saturday. We leave it to be done because man changes and flourishes according to the condition he's given. Some people are no good or bad in some things, and once they reach the position when they enjoy, they become different. So we carry on with the program which we set up with Kevin Daviner, with Rick, and with me and children, if we can organize it for this Saturday. And then we keep your recommendations in back of our mind. We appreciate them, we respect them, but a man always can change according to the condition. And the knowledge transfer has to be free and unconditional. I listen, I've seen your emails, I understand what you put across, but till we don't get into the water, we don't know if we can swim or sink. And happily enough, here we have a control, the lifeboat is there that we can stop it sinking. The other point is very much to do with the health program. We have the health session tomorrow, and from tomorrow, Keshe Foundation Health takes a new direction. Dr. Elia will post in the list of the illnesses which the Keshe Foundation from tomorrow accepts openly to consider for research. Our colleagues in the Keshe Foundation in Malta have already opened, or should open, the Keshe Foundation Health Center as an office. We have seen the pictures of the center yesterday, the day before. It's a beautiful setup. We thank you for it. So Keshe Foundation Health Malta will become the health center point of connection for any diseases which Dr. Elia releases tomorrow. And all the cases will be considered by doctors, and the foundation will become the developer of the systems for these illnesses. Do not forget one point. We are at the point of research. The Keshe Foundation process does not cure. We are not in the process of curing. We are in the process of processing and creating the condition that the body adjusts to the illness. For the doctors and the scientists to understand how to make systems to adjust and perfect it for every disease, now it's time to join in the foundation and participate. All contacts are done through healthkf@gmail.com. Dr. Elia controls everything, and in time she will bring other doctors and scientists to become a teamwork. We have a number of doctors who will do, but it will be headed by Dr. Elia. The Keshe Foundation Malta is the headquarters of all the health applications. You don't deal with Keshe Foundation, you deal with Keshe Foundation Malta, but like the way we put the links from other organizations which are related or connected to the foundation through our website, we are point of a link. So when you come to Keshe Foundation Health, you're redirected to Keshe Foundation Malta according to the permission they have received of the Maltese government. Officially, we start opening some. How many illnesses you're handling, Elia? 20, 25 illnesses on the list? There's something like 20 illnesses which we are researching, and we've done a lot of work in the background. And we try to, by the time tomorrow the list is released by the Keshe Foundation Malta or KF Foundation at gmail.com, we'll try to give a percentage of the process success. What this means is that we've done so much research, let's say on fibromyalgia, we give the chances of processing 80%. So it means, how many? Nearly 40 diseases. The foundation has done research over the past 14, 15 years on. and the knowledge is released, and it'll be released totally to the doctors who will start working, and they start monitoring. So from now on, when you're accepted by Keshe Foundation for a disease to be part of the research, your progress, everything will be monitored by the doctors around the world who work and want to be part of their condition according to the expertise of the scientists and the doctors. We will teach the production of the systems to the people who are specialized in that line. Please do not go and try to make a system because you think you have done or you think you can do. At the same time, you can create other conditions and other positions. So, as we say, leave the job of the medicine in the hand of the physicians. Physicians which understand both the physicality and the plasma condition of the body of the man. We transfer the knowledge for them to do so. So, Keshe Foundation from tomorrow, more or less when Dr. Elia announces it, has a criterion. We accept on the Keshe Foundation Malta on the agreement, and the permission is being given to Maltese, and the company which is in the structure set up will come into effect most probably in the next few days. The structure to go internationally to look at every possible chance and disease to do. At the same time, all the virus diseases will be transferred to the university in Africa. So if you have a virus problem, we'll transfer you directly to the hand of the doctors in the university as part of the Keshe Foundation and worldwide structure. At the same time, we have put conditions. These conditions which Dr. Elia has put has to be met. Don't come to the foundation and say, oh, I want it without this. The conditions will be released. There is a blood test needed. There is a confirmation of the disease needed by independent doctors or the hospital. Then there is a fee for research where the foundation has been put in. We do not give things to African nations to do things or to the other scientists without just because they want to. They love to help humanity and they have to starve. So there is a fee put in for the structure for the disease. When you can meet the three, say I can meet the 3 or 4 conditions she's put in, you submit. The doctors and scientists will decide, yes, this is the case we want to do. You're accepted, you have to go into the next step. Dr. Elia has set up in a very nice way a position in the teaching side tomorrow, which means she's receiving a lot of questions. What about this? How can I have a blue eye when I have a black eye, or whatever crazy questions you're coming up with, which is nice. But we cannot spend all the time just trying to answer you. So there is a spreadsheet with questions on it, and we choose 10 minutes, 20 minutes every health section to answer some of the questions which are relevant and not just to put in just to be a question. How can I just change the size of my nails if one is blue and the other one is yellow? Ask a practical questions which is health-wise applicable, we try to answer. And this is allocated at time. At the same time, I've discussed this just before we start. Worldwide Keshe Foundations have taken different initiatives for their selves and others, and in a way collectively we can benefit by it. Keshe Foundation Venezuela has taken a huge step, and I thank them for it. They have transcribed the first 5 workshops, so you can read it. Pardon? New Zealand. What did I say? New Zealand, sorry. Yeah. Me being somewhere else. I was thinking about the Ebola in Venezuela. So what they've done, they have put it on the, Amazon.com. So you can link in, see the script and translate it to your own languages, and then do the same thing. Link it up in Amazon. Keshe Foundation as a research headquarters receives a percentage of this as was offered to us by the New Zealand, and the surplus, the balance, will go for the research center and development of scientists in New Zealand. The copyright to this is in the hand of New Zealand, but with the permission from the center. So it means if you are Italian, you want to translate transcripts, contact the Foundation New Zealand or us. You'll be given the right to translate, and then do the same thing. Participate some back to the Foundation Center, some to the New Zealand that they've done the job if you want to, but use majority of it in the country you translated in, that you can develop your own centers. Because people cannot understand English, which is a common language we use. But if you, the way they've done it, I looked at it, it's beautiful, it's fantastic how they've gone through line by line and they've done the transcription. Then you can translate into Italian or any other language, and then it can be used. And then you can support and build up a system. Yes.
Mr. Keshe, is it true that there be no copyright or authorization required for people to translate that into other languages?
We need it because they put a copyright on it to control it for whatever reason they had, and we gave them that right.
But if someone buys the transcript, say, can they use that transcript to translate into other languages and then distribute that and send some of the money back?
The way we do it, that we don't get 20 people translating to Spanish. We try to organize in the coming weeks that there's a structure we're trying to set up, that we don't endorse certain country for certain things. But what happens if 3 Spanish people at the same time transcript? Don't forget, the videos of the workshops are free. All our sessions are freely on the internet. So we have to, instead of spending the energy in 3-4 different ways for the same thing, if you're trying to transcribe, change it to any language, contact the foundation. Maybe we have other people who are doing the same thing, we put you together, because the benefit is for the nation, not for the individuals. So then we can do with anything, because you can literally go directly from the voice recordings to language transfer in Chinese or whatever you like. But what the New Zealanders have done, they have done the first English version. And they do the next one and the rest, and this you can do it in Chinese and everything else. It's the same way with the languages, translation of the languages in the books. Maybe somebody uses different word for the translation in different languages, and one people understand one and the other one understand the other. But don't do 10 Spanish and 20 whatever. Come together as one, contact the foundation, we put you together, or work as a team for your own country and nation, and then do the same as what New Zealand has done. Use the proceeds for development of technology and teaching in your countries. The same as what we done with CO2. When the kit video is released, hopefully today or tomorrow by the foundation, you can see you can produce it anywhere in the world. The same way as we said. It's in your hand to contact the foundation, but it cannot be exclusive right to nothing, because that's what the whole purpose of foundation was. We don't give exclusivity. We don't have the right to give exclusivity because we already given it away freely. But we try to bring order, that we don't waste human resources. Then you have 10 Amazons, Italians, who's going to buy what? At the end, it all serves the same interest, but in a way it can go a different way. Doug?
A question about that. How will people contact you or contact the Keshe Foundation to determine? It's a big job to sort out all these different languages and contacts.
We need somebody to become the, what do you call it? We need somebody in the Keshe Foundation worldwide to come front and say, okay, I handle this part of the work. And then we establish, at the moment, just write down to, what do you call it, webmaster@keshefoundation.com, or .org, I should say. If you send it to webmaster@keshefoundation.org, we see it, and then we'll see. But if somebody would like to be the coordinator between different countries and the languages, and you can spend some time to do it, please contact us, and then anything comes in that level, we just send it to you as we do with others.
Yeah,
If we get, for example, contacts from China regarding things, I don't handle it. I directly send it to Chu because Mr. Chu and the Chinese people know how to handle, how to do the things. This is the way we do the work. So send everything to this foundation. We have a look at it, and we need somebody in the Totality of Cash Foundation to come forward to say, okay, I'm prepared to respond, to take responsibility for coordinating for the transcripts in different languages. You just put them in touch with each other.
yeah, that would be great. We've made efforts in that to do that in the past, and it's a difficult job, and it takes a lot of time. But for those who are dedicated and like doing that sort of thing, organizing, it's a great opportunity, actually.
Do we know anyone who likes to do it in the Cash Foundation worldwide to be the coordinator? The wall is getting thicker and taller, so we need brick by brick some to take the pressure. So if you know anyone who likes to be the coordinator, you don't need to do the transcribing. You can go to different cash foundations if you want, because I'm sure by the time they get to know they've already been transcribed, it will be in weeks and months or whatever it happens. But somebody can send to every cash foundation links that this is ready for transcribing if they want to do it. Then we can build up on it. It's a process. It needs time, and it needs people to put time into it. It cannot be done anymore by the numbers. As you know, we have signed a contract, thanks to Mr. Chu, with the publication of the first Cash Foundation book in China by the leading Chinese university. So within the next few weeks, I hope we will see the Chinese version of the book one. All translation was done by the Cash Foundation China. They've done a lot of hard work. I thank you for them. All 3 books have been done. The first book has now been agreed. I signed the documents. You had to, so I adjusted. It's going to go out again today with adjustments. Will be published within the coming weeks in China. You can buy the Cash Foundation, what do you call it, first book from the Chinese University Bookshop direct. And we got to the level that the universities understand the level of the knowledge, and they are paying for all the publication cost. The only thing is that the Chinese Cash Foundation team, and thank them again for what they've done, they did the translation. And it was easy for the next step for 2 universities to decide if they want to publish it or not. So now the way we look at it, at least, has been recognized by a major university in the world that they have paid, as Mr. Chu told me, is very unprecedented to do such a thing. So this is the steps that we know the technology is breaking through in a very correct way, but with the support of the Cash Foundation knowledge seekers in different nationality and names. We have seen the same thing moves in 2 other countries, but with a delay in doing it because there were more financial gain of the people involved than actually the help of the development of the Cash Foundation. The 3 books are fully translated into German. We have only access to the first one. The other 2 are still sitting here for 2 years. We don't understand why it should have been published by now. So once one university releases the book at that level, as one of the top universities in China, then you understand the others will follow. As I said yesterday and past couple of days to the knowledge seekers here, we sow the seed over 10-15 years. Now is the time of harvesting. In seeing the technology has been transferred and used by humanity as totally, not just by certain individuals trying to find out. And all the ones which cause and try to cause problem, one by one they are falling off the track. So we don't see that kind of problems anymore. There are still resistances in the ways of different people to protect their own interests, but in a way, national and international interest in what we do is much bigger than one man. There is something, I received 2 or 3 emails and some communications. There was a talk about, as you know, in past 3-4 weeks, I was literally crippled with pain and whatever it was. We tried everything. A lot of people say, if you know how to cure people, why don't you do it for yourself? In this technology, you do not make a move till you know the cause. Because if you don't do exactly the cause, you can cause more problems in other ways. So all the test was done. There was a point, if you remember, in one of the talks 2 or 3 back, I could not even speak due to the loss of energy and pain. We did all the tests. There was a concern for cancer in different places, all came negative. Dr. Elia came here especially in a way to see to this, what is the position and how she can help. And she made one conclusion in what the problem is. And I'll leave it to her to explain to you what was her conclusion. She prescribed the remedy the way she saw it, and within 24 hours, 48 hours, my pain totally disappeared. I give the point, she can explain when she talks what was her decision and what she diagnosed as a, as a leading practitioner in different fields of homeopathy and poisoning and the rest. And she immediately decided this is what is needed, and we've seen it to be correct. So there's a follow-up, but in the past week, thanks to her expertise, and I thank her very much for what she did, we are out of hopefully the critical position. But we have with what she described, because the symptoms disappear, so the diagnosis was correct. It has opened our eyes to a lot of things which is happening around the foundation. And when she explains to you what it is, then you understand more than me trying to say, making a drama queen out of it. So for this reason, we have made a lot of changes in conjunction with the national and international securities about the foundation. The federal police and international police are aware of this. High-level governments have been informed of this, and we don't take it casually as just one case. So when Dr. Ali explains to you and understand the seriousness of what has happened to me in past 3-4 weeks, and we stopped it, and we directly will go back to the people who initiated it. Because it's very easy, because we know exactly how it's happened. At that time we didn't, as well as I was concerned by the physicians in Italy. I spent days and days in hospital, every possible test, and the indication was from one cancer to another, something else, and then internal bleeding of something else, and Dr. Elia within 24 hours coming especially here to see what she can do. She's managed to change the course, but we'll see how far we can go with it. The other point comes to how we can commercialize the technology in a way that it benefits the Keshe Foundation supporters around the world. I think we need somebody to coordinate this, to do with all the practicality of it, as the production and as unifying the whole system together between different continents and cultures. This is needed to be talked. If we can make a group for the commercialization, people who would like to commercialize different part of the technology, we will open a channel, an email for it. There are a lot of people who say, I would like to do the kits. What can I do? Please allow us to set this link up within the next 7 days, and from next week we will give you the access, that we all share the knowledge. Who made the kit was more effective, is more practical. We share knowledge on this site. So we start establishing sessions just for the manufacturers or the people who want to manufacture, that we collectively benefit by it throughout the world. So from next week or so, we announce a link where you can send your information, and somebody in that link has to become part of the organizing that we can show our systems, our kids, what it is, what's the difference, and what can be done, and how they've done it, how we can benefit by it. We share the knowledge that internationally we come to one point. There is something very, very important. A lot of you listen to these workshops. I see on the platform of the free, what do you call it, to transfer of the knowledge, not on the Skype, what do you call the other one? Live streams. There are over 16,000 people. On the other lines in other nationalities, I see the same. And these people just go and come and listen. To run these programs, people put their time and their life. Then there is a need for supporting, for paying, at least for the supporting the keeping up the structure as it's growing. People like Rick need to be supported, that he doesn't put such an email on his Facebook. The foundation from the center we support immediately, but you have to start contributing towards what is international structure plus your national structure. Because whatever we receive from the sale of the kits from, let's say, China, till the Chinese produce, percentage goes back to the Chinese Keshe Foundation for the development of their systems and the Keshe Foundation technology there. So when you buy a kit from us at this direct line on the website, comes from the country you are in, we look at who is there, who's doing the development, supporting the foundation to set up the structure. Part of that goes back to them. As I said before, we are not building another Vatican, that everything comes to one place. Every country, every nation will have its own Vatican, where we control, we look that the foundation operation is exactly the way it is with the rest of the world, and we can share knowledge. Please understand the changes which is about to happen around the foundation is so huge from what we see and sitting on the wings. As I said, it's the harvest time, that we don't even announce it anymore, because there are people who go to destroy. So collectively we have done it. We know the spread of the knowledge is huge, runs in millions, tens of millions plus. No science, no knowledge, no message from any messengers has spread this planet so fast. It's so fast is that it goes to the national level. Look at the spread of Christianity and how long it took. Same as with Islam, but same as any other scientific development. We have reached beyond numbers through a short time, because this is the time of the change and the correct way of changing. It's not just a new material, it's a new ethos, it's a new way of thinking. Our support does not know barriers, and our work does not know limits in whose nation, what color and race it is. The beauty of it is, over years, as a businessman, I have established lines with number of nations across different continents, so I can reach easily. For me, facilities are available to do so. But now we need the facilities in different nations. When we understand the situation with Ebola in Africa, I have contacted directly the countries which are the major target for the abuse of this illness to harm. They know the technology is on the wing, we're waiting to see what comes out of Africa. The same thing goes for the mayhem in Middle East. Defense technology supporting not to destroy and to kill, as I explained to the national security people of 2 or 3 nations which we talk with. You can kill 10, 20, 100 by bombing. But the technology and the knowledge which sits with the Keshe Foundation, and we have tested over 15 years, we can change the mindset that even the guy who's going to do the bombing, he forgets what it's there for. Not about who he is, but the aggression and hate and war does not exist in his mentality, in the emotional part. The knowledge in the foundation is so deep that it shakes the core of a lot of national securities and governments. This is not a mind control. This is the way to set everybody on equal basis, that what came with man to be animal behavior, it's got a specific position in the brain, in the emotional part, which can be adapted not to do. If we reinforce it, it can be reactivated. If we allow it to be accepted, it'll be shun away and it'll not be used. And that's the process. National securities which are in the major danger already know what it's about and how the systems freely to them is available to use. It needs further development to fit into what it needs to be done internationally. So the teaching has gone beyond the parameters of Fukushima or Ebola or whatever. It's going into the parameters that the world governments work together in peaceful way, but at the same time, one of the biggest problems, as I spoke with one of the ambassadors, he says, what about we employ so many people in armed industry? What are we going to do with it? I said, you employ so many people in armed industry only in the West, not in the rest of the world. There is no gun factory in Africa and South America as such. There is no gun factory in different countries around Asia. Gun manufacturing has become the expertise of the West, which has to stop. And find a new solution and convert these expertise into space programs, into agriculture programs. The people who wanted to control the seed, with a new technology, seeds go back to the root. We have shown this through the test in Leuven University 3 years ago. The ones who control the seed to be that they have exclusivity on, please, the people who have a problem, use the gas of CO2. The whole evolution has been done to control the seed goes through the window. You have a free seed the way it was from the beginning of time. The original seeds come out. We have pictures we can show. These are not theories. So even the food control chain is gone through the window. But it takes time for scientists to deliver it in a correct way. And it will be done in Africa and it will be done in Asia in the coming times. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all that. Mr. Keshe laid out quite a new vision for the Spaceship Institute and the Keshe Foundation and
Bravo.
all of that. Yes, bravo, it's indeed.
Bravo. Bravissimo. Bravissimo.
Ah.
Molte bravo.
We don't understand Italian, or even we are in Italy.
Almost everybody knows bravo or bravito, I suppose. And that's what it...
Many famous Italian works that an ear had never understood, but felt by eye been bound to cry again.
Understood that. Maybe somebody else did. But I think it's poetic and you can get the gist.
We got cut off. I think it went to the noise of the soul than actually the voice of the man.
Okay.
Any questions?
I want to congratulate. That was an excellent speech. I had to reset my mic for some reason. I just want to say that you are opening revelations in the simple man every single day, even though you are not necessarily in tuned and you're tuned to other things. Your reference point provides such a dynamic opening to the gateways that I've exposed myself to in here, my shop. And I just want to thank you for your influence.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. We are here to serve, not to be served. And that's the purpose. If a man understands, we can share it easily.
I couldn't agree
Are
with
there
you
any
stronger,
questions?
sir.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions? Are there any questions?
We did have a question about the CO2 kit, and the some people are a little hesitant as far as the idea of the GANS material being created and so on, and there might be dangers of touching it and other unknown effects and so on. Is there anything special you'd like to say about that other than the usual precautions as far as handling those types of materials, to use gloves and not to ingest them and so on?
The initial units which we release are precursor to the more what I call easier units to do. This is what I was explaining to the scientists in Africa yesterday. Because as you know, I lecture doctors and professors in the university who understood and are working very rapidly to take this thing into development for Ebola. So one of the things is the new present units, you got the plates which are hanging, and then you have to extract. The units which we are looking now with the Italians in the coming days to do, even if we can do it before we release the first units, is the units with the tap underneath, that you can tap the GANs directly into a container without even touching it with syringes. So you milk from the bottom, you let it settle, and you put the extra water back in there, and you only hold the GANs. So in this way, we get rid of the contact points. There is no contact in whatsoever with the material. So
that's a great idea. That sounds like a perfect solution to that whole cycle of problems.
Yes, because this way we hang the plates from the frame, because it's the fields which you produce, and the GANS material richly should rain into a funnel shape at the bottom. And then all you do, you open the tap and you empty the funnel, the material into a container. You dispose of it by giving it to the organizations with the foundations or government set up to collect it, or you use it for what you need in the same process with another tap into where you wanted to put it, that you never come in touch with the material.
Well, you know that there was 2 words that made the Coca-Cola manufacturing company, and that was bottle it, because it used to be on tap, and that's how they actually became famous, is by bottling it. And there's one person that said, if I tell you 2 words that'll change your company and make you millions, will you tie me into it? And the person said yes, and they've been it was on tap for many years in the pharmacies, but they never bottled it. They never thought to bottle it. They made the customer go to the pharmacy. So this person said, bottle it, and that's what they started doing. So maybe the GANs needs to get bottled in a way. Maybe that would be a way to contain it.
We are looking into this, but the problem is, or the position is, does your bottle need a tap to be emptied? Even delay the release by a week or so, by a few days, but this is what we're looking at with the Italians, and we release it. We show in the video a box, but the unit will be trying to be in a way that you do not come with the syringes. So you can directly go into the container and just drain the CO2 or any GANS material to stop all the exposures. We cannot close the top, because the top is where you create your CO2, where you extract your CO2 from the environment. But we can make facilities for extraction because the CO2 rains down to the bottom, and empty it from the bottom is a solution. We're looking at the opportunities because it's just come by discussion and understanding.
Okay,
Next question.
thank you. And I think you said that more information be coming out in the video, which should be released maybe in the next week or so. Or is that what you expect on that?
What happened, we did a video, we tried to be knowledge seekers, self-sufficient. And we made a video in the lab with John being the cameraman and Armand being the director and what do you call it, Marco being the light man. And somehow we ended up with seeing a lot of legs and a lot of lights in different positions. So our team, they said, oh, can you do something else with this? Because they made, it's a very, very powerful video. I think it's done very nicely, the intro and everything with it. But then you come to a video which shows half of the head and 2 legs somewhere and God knows everything. So we brought in a professional camera, hairy legs, almost. And then so we brought in again this week the professional cameramans which we used to use in other recording like Fukushima, and it's redone. So there is like a 15-20 minutes video with a sail, and then there is the paper of CO2 which you see, but they're trying to make a small teaser that if you want to see this is CO2 kit, gives you direct link to the ordering on the website. And strange enough, we have not put a price on, bottom price, or what do you call it, a fixed price on the containers and the plates, because we have made it a donation. So the minimum donation for a kit is €15 plus postage and packaging, and then you can say I would like to pay €25. You still receive the same thing. You can contribute €100 for the same unit. This is the way we're departing from forcing conditions. We cover the minimum cost and what is going to be done, and what do you call it? Then it depends on the man how much he thinks his life worth, because it's you who save your life from extracting the CO2 for you and your generation. We change the condition back to the value of what you value yourself, minimum cost. And this will reflect in the way which Dr. Elia will do her position tomorrow. We say for cancer research, we need, this is the donation the foundation is looking for. If you cannot meet, please do not get in touch. It's not that we are financial position, but there are a lot of things needs to be covered and cost to be covered and to be done. Running of the new university institute and allowing scientists to come here to stay and to be able to teach will cost money. Research in developing things cost money. We have to go from primitive knife and forks into, what do you call it, systems. We can detect a new gravitational magnetic field system. These all cost money. And I've supported enough long enough for what it is, but the scale is growing too rapidly. Even the government receive the technology from us, they just say thank you. They don't come back to do anything about it or look after the foundation. Thieving is the habit of the man. So we put on the foundation for fibromyalgia 4.5 or 7,000 depending on the condition. If you don't have the finances, please don't come to us as I cannot pay. Organize yourselves that you can justify and we can justify for our work. And we said these criterions have to be met because the Foundation Malta is a registered company for health. So a company has to be, but the benefit from it goes to humanity and it goes to the functioning and running and building and teaching and the rest of it. So we become a bit more organized. We shouldn't see an email from Rick on his Facebook that I cannot carry on because I don't receive any financial, as we did with the other people who supported the Keshe Foundation as secretaries, as advisors, or whatever they did. They were well paid all the time as long as we were in Belgium. Now that we have set up here and become international, it has to be the same. If Dr. Elia puts time in doing things and spending, organizing and teaching and the rest, it's the time she doesn't have in the surgery. They have to be met. And if you come and says it's the foundation, otherwise I won't be finished with those. For nearly 5 years, I gave my systems free. Nobody came to thank me, and actually they caused me more problem. The one who we helped to come out of coma, the mother became their biggest enemy because she wanted to become millionaire from something else from the foundation. The woman who was for 30 years on with 5 to 7 epileptic attack a day and 20 pills with no pills and no attacks, they were the people who would not let us even live in the village we used to live in Belgium. So freebies are freebies, but for those whom we need, we appreciate, we think we can do. The structure, as I said, the whole thing has changed. And it will be changing, evolving when time comes. When people come and give us Raman spectroscopy and measuring equipment freely for research in at least 10 different Keshe foundations, we then will release the materials and systems free to those who need. At the same time, the Keshe Foundation, for what we receive, we will produce the kits in Africa they can't afford. They will receive it freely from the foundation, that they will not fall behind. And as I said, now Africans know more exactly what to do, and I produce scans that the Japanese do, which they needed for their team because they just wanted to be given to them. But the Africans understood the principle: if anything happens to me today, they're on their way, they do it themselves. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, there was a technical question here that maybe you can address. It goes from Hellington Silva on the Facebook. He says, "Hi Rick, if we have a material in nano layers, is it possible to have only the hydrogen trapped in this material because the hydrogen atom is small and tends to migrate to the crystalline structure of the material? We studied this in corrosion processes by hydrogen. Then put this material at the Caroline reactor core, so there's no need to vacuum. Moreover, we can generate hydrogen within the core instead of injecting it." Are just my ideas. Would like to ask Mr. Keshe.
This is a possibility, but when you put nano materials in the center of the core, you create the condition. In time, I was explaining yesterday to the knowledge seekers that you have to be able to do things instantaneously. And I was giving them an explanation that the body constantly keeps enzymes in the mouth or in the stomach ready for conversion of the water, because it's something we use. It cannot make a decision every time of what's coming in. That's a standard. So the minute you drink water, it converts it back to the gans of water, that energy can transfer through the structure of the intestines. The same thing happens in the reactor cores. If until you do not change the gans materials at this moment exist and what operate between the water, which is you made them in, you have to find a way. It's a very simple technique. As you know, I don't teach till you come to it. That the waters in the reactor cores you use in conjunction with the gans become gans of water. The same operation as in your stomach. It's a very, very simple process. Then you can allow the hydrogen in the H2O to become a magnetic field base for transmission in the inter-universal communication. What does this mean? You go back to the principal fundamental element. Plasma of a hydrogen in the gas state is the nearest to neutron. And because you are nearest to neutron, you can gain on the universal highways of energy transfer and communication. You do not need to produce hydrogen to trap in the nano layer. If you use gas layering, yes, but gas layering is ancient, it's dinosaurs, but we had to go through it that you understand the new process, but you still need it. Hydrogen trapped, if you can trap it, because to trap hydrogen in nano layers, you need to develop a specific way. Is the multiple caging with gravitational magnetic field reverse inside. I have done it. But once you do it, to reverse it back, you have to release the cage one at a time that it comes out. And it's not an easy job to do. So you got to understand what's the use of hydrogen in the coming time in the reactors. You need to keep atomic hydrogen in a GaNs state for what I call communication lines. Atomic hydrogen in a neutron state exists throughout the universe. Copper oxide plasma but in GaNs does not exist everywhere. And if you're in an area which there is no copper oxide, you can't lose line of communication or travel. I teach you these as you come to it, but it's too early for you. But you can, if you can do it, it's a fantastic way to do it, but you got to understand you enter a GaNs state, and the hydrogen, if it comes, you can hold it, it has to be in a GaNs state. It's a small technique, your body does it automatically, it changes the matter to GaNs. You have to know how to turn it. If I can explain to those who want to do such a thing. You know, when you go to the church and you see the priest, or a lot of Muslims do it, they have a bead in their hand in a string and they count it. Look at the operation of the beads, how you move them and how you turn them between your fingers. Use your finger as a caging and the hydrogen as the bead in your finger. You know exactly how to do with it. This is how carbon changes from diamond to what do you call it, graphene structure, or back reverse. Is the energy level with the turn of the twist. Then you can do that, you can release it. But you need this knowledge and technology for literally, if you travel from one galaxy to another, the guarantee is there is a hydrogen atom all the way in plasmatic GaNs condition throughout the universe. You just link to their fields. Instant communication, instant travel. Depends how fast you want to go to the center of it. Copper oxide, that's what I said, I was explaining yesterday or the day before to the knowledge seekers. Japanese by accident sit on top of one of the most heavily beautiful sources of energy ever exist in the universe. But they called Fukushima and what do you call it, tritium. They do not appreciate it. I said to them, if they understood what they have, half of the world nuclear, what do you call it, reactors will be exploding. Their governments do it deliberately themselves to reach to this condition very fast. Tritium has a specific, one of the reasons I try to collaborate as much as possible, as fast as possible with the Japanese in cleaning up the water in Fukushima. They're building 1 tank or 2 tanks a day. As the representative told me when he was here, he said the whole Fukushima mountain is just tanks instead of trees. But as far as you can see, it's tanks everywhere. So the tritium has that capability of extra neutrons. We can extract, we achieve the position of the universal communication language and usage in the reactors for creating unified fields in communication and transportation. Copper oxide is not the same everywhere, but neutron fields, when it's in the GaNs state in your core, can be changed, can be rapid change by a small change, the same way as your body does, instantly changes the conductor to a resistor. You feel, you don't feel, you stop moving, immediate. If you have watched what I call flying objects, and you watch their operation, you always see a rapid change in growth and compression of the plasma and a rapid departure. This is done with the hydrogen or neutron level, not with copper oxide or CO2. But I have to go to a level that you lot understand, then I teach you how to do it. Till you don't reach more or less the state of hydrogen, the space travel at high levels is impossibilities for man, because the shielding has to be parallel in strength. We don't have different layers as Earth in the plasma of the stars. The field interaction creates the barriers of magnetic field for that system. So you have to learn it. And when you work in the plasma of the hydrogen in your system, in the GANS state, you cannot dislocate any atomic structure in a matter state like amino acid to create diseases or viruses or whatever. So there is no dislocation, because the hydrogen in amino acid facilitates the passage of the fields, so it never dislocates. Where if you create a gravitational magnetic field of the copper, is so powerful that it can dislocate or turn or add to the energy of the matter of the molecule. This you have to learn, but we speak the language as a child or as a university graduate. In time, at the moment, we are just getting out of the nursery. Next question.
Do we have any questions at the GoToMeeting there, Vince?
Just asking now. Does anybody in GoToMeeting have any questions? I don't see any in the chat.
I think, can you
I have a question about the lights.
Wait, Brad, wait. I see from Amargo, it says, Rick, I think this watching guy on live stream is one of the challenges. What does this mean? Can somebody explain?
I don't think it's a problem, actually. There's somebody in live stream who says, you cannot say that you can make gold and ask for people's money. He says it's, why not sell gold bars instead of asking for donations? Would you like to address that?
Leave the little mind to work in its own little ways.
That's about it. My response in the live stream was, Kesh says he can, but it's not up to him to do the work of mankind.
Put it this way, I showed it to the knowledge seekers. If I put bar of gold outside, I'll be alive for 10 seconds.
That's about it.
When all of you can produce gold, then we'll do it with you. I passed the headphone to Elia to explain what I left to you, that she can explain to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello to everybody. It's me, Elia. So, Mr. Kesh asked me to describe you what was the disease. So he get so painful numbness on his back, and also the blood in his urine, a huge weakness of the body, and feel so tired and drying out of energy all the time. And really he looks not so good condition. And then he made a lot of investigation in hospital. The Italian colleagues were so polite to make all the scans, echography, blood test, urine test, which they are able to do in Desenzano. So from the investigation, they could not found some organic change in the body, like some disease appearing at the moment, like a changing of the morphology of the organs. But they found the functional change in the different kind of organs, like a kidney, and they decide that the blood is come from the kidney area, and they do not able to explain why the Mr. Cash feels that much weak and have symptom of nausea and not able to eat properly, and numbness of the spine and pain lasting through the end of his lower limbs. And when I came in the Sansano, so we start to diagnose, because we already had the traditional diagnostic of the blood urine and the scan and sonography of the abdomen. So I start to diagnose with alternative method where they know what is the purpose of his condition. And actually the decision what we came out was that he eat or he drinks something who's destroying the structure of the blood vessels and destroying the density of his blood, and because of that he get the blood in the urine. And when you drink or eat something, that kind of molecule, they starts to slowly interact with the nervous system. So the nervous system becomes to the condition of to stop properly working. And actually depends of the molecule, attack of the nervous system is in the different level. Different kind of poisoning, they may start from the peripheral nervous system or from central nervous system. So actually his fatigue syndrome and that much weakness was because the nervous system reached the point of the huge irritation and was not able more to handle to caring about the body. And because before years he had an injury on his spine, so on that area, that is the locus minoris we call in Latin. That means the point where all the time if something happened is the first place which is easy reachable because it's already damaged before. and because of that, the first symptom what he get, that was the spine numbness in lumbar area and not able to walk, and all the spine and all the pain through his lower limbs. And we start to cover the symptoms of the spine and I gave him homeopathy remedy which related with his condition and the moment, and slowly he starts to recover and to feel much better, and the blood in the urine just stopped, but we need the control test to urine just to see if it's not hidden hematuria. It's in Latin language. Hidden a quality of the blood in the urine. So at the moment he's okay, but we just found out that something happened around, and we just wanted to know how it's possible our teacher, Mr. Cash, just to get this condition from nowhere. And that's why we will be go to the hospital and to visualize if there have some kind of elements still exist in the urine and the blood. In that way, we are able just to give data for some organs to be sure if is something going around the Mr. Cash, or he just by chance eat something somewhere, because it's really case of poisoning in some way, which is visible, like investigation from the urine and some kind of the blood test. They show that have the poison in him. And also is when I make investigation of his body, like nervous system and how it work and everything is really like that, because the nervous system just stop in one point to accept and give information.
Can you explain what you suspect the poison to be?
Yeah, I suspect the poison is like arsen because I give to him arsen remedy, and really 24 hours after I gave it to him arsen remedy, he was completely in charge. It's like just click on him and everything starts to recover, and after the second days he was okay. Even pain on the back spine is gone, and he starts to feel great, starts to eat, starts to move and feel energizing his body. So we got to conclusion, because in homeopathy have law that similar cure similar. If arsen was able to eradicate the case, so it's more, how to say, 99% what he eats consists arsen. Otherwise, I'm able to cover with homeopathy remedy arsen like a less percentage of totality of the symptom, like 60 or 70. But if the symptoms was covered at 100% of the remedy, so the remedy was completely correct. That is the logic in homeopathy theory. So it's from my side. Thank you.
I think
Thank you, Elia.
answers
Thank you,
two
Ella.
things. This answers two things. We've been deliberately set out to be killed, to be poisoned by poisoning. Arson has been one of the, according to Elia, one of the easy ways to kill. And we look this back to the Belgium, the government of Belgium, and we have asked for the Iranian authorities to look at this matter. We consider this as
You
an
said
attempted
arsenic,
murder.
Mr. Kesh?
Arson. Arson, yeah, arsenic. Arsenic, yeah.
Yes.
Homeopathic
Okay,
from
good.
Latin. So this has been by somebody inside who has carried the poison, because we are very careful in where we go, and it's only been me, and in one occasion I've been on my own eating with others. So for this reason, as I said, our whole security and approach has been changed. So now we see another hand of the Belgian government through their agents in trying to carry out what we said. We were warned by the end of August, or end of September, there is something in plan to get rid of you. Now we've seen it. And thanks to the knowledge of Elia, this is a fourth attempt by the Belgian authorities through their agents to poison. We are aware of what's happening, we are watching, and in time we'll take actions. So now you understand how real the situation is. The problem is that these people think we don't know who they are and what they do. Now we go back to what you call the teaching by one of the knowledge seekers this week. As this was the first teaching, they were not very 100% sure who's going to do it. So, as you know, we teach not necessarily just in the center. We go outside, and sometimes we teach outside on the cafes and the bars and restaurants and beaches of the Desenzano area. So I said to the knowledge seekers, from now on you got to teach properly, not just doing things. And nobody was to volunteer. So being in Italy, we took a piece of bread and we broke the bread. We took a shortcut with that, a short stick. We'll do the first one. And the short stick comes down to Ivan. So Ivan will give you the first, what do you call it? The first talk of the teachings in a professional way, the way Elia does hers. And tomorrow we do our, what do you call it, normal, what do you call it? health teachings with Elia to do with the muscles and muscle structure. And at the end, we answer about 10 or 20 minutes the questions which you have sent over the week, which is relevant to answer. I give the headphone to Ivan.
Thank you. Hello to everybody. So it was probably a good thing that I would have the shortest straw, because I'm here for a week and then absent for a few weeks and then here for a week. So while I'm here, it was probably the right time to have the opportunity to do it. So after everything which Mr. Keshe already told you, I chose to have a closer look at the structure of the light at the second book, because when Mr. Keshe told us that, now move away from the soldering, the diodes, the resistors, the capacitors, the batteries, the LEDs, the motors. He said, this is old. This all is old hat. It's all old technology. And in fact, last night I took a look at Wikipedia, because he said, even the LEDs that's passé. It's old. Now, while the whole technology in the world is now moving to LEDs. And then I took a look at Wikipedia, and I found that the principle of the light-emitting diode was described for the first time in 1907, and that the first working LED was made in 1927. And then it was forgotten about for a number of decades until it was, rediscovered in the 1960s. So indeed, it's almost 100 years, it's more than 100 years ago that the principle was discovered, and almost 100 years ago that the first LED was made. And it was made, the little wire that we have in a LED now was, at the time, it was a cat whiskers. And it was a Russian who made it, a Russian scientist. So that's why I decided, since Mr. Keshe told us, light can be made directly from all the materials, the GaNSes, the nanomaterials, everything that you have in the lab. He says, if you understand it, it takes you 10 minutes to make a light-emitting device. But it turns out we don't understand it enough yet to do that. Now, when I took the book, The Structure of the Light, I did read it thoroughly a few months ago. The most important sentence in the book, The Structure of the Light, to me seems to be, man has come from the light, exists through the light, and shall return to the light. That is like the most profound thing that I found in that book. Now, to get to the technology, of the light, or the structure of the light, rather. First of all, Mr. Keshe explains that the light is a magnetic gravitational entity, because we can see that it is subject to gravitational positioning. So obviously, what I'm saying here, few of you or many of you who have, read this book in depth will not find anything new in what I'm saying. But, even for me, just looking again at the book, even though I read it in depth a few months ago, then you see a few things again, which you see in the new light of new things that you have, new insights that you've gained in the meantime, and so it does shed a new light anyway. So the gravitational positioning, to quickly come back to that word, first of all, this is what Mr. Keshe explained, that, you know, let's say the moon is where it is as in connection with the Earth, because that is the speed and the distance and the position at which the magnetic and gravitational forces are in equilibrium. Now, since we see the process of what is called lensing, which means that the light bends around and is not, you know, going straight to stars and other celestial objects and being absorbed by it, but rather goes around them. That is a sign of gravitational positioning. So that shows that the light in itself is a magnetic gravitational entity, that it has a magnetic field and a gravitational field, and let's say an atmosphere. In other words, light is not energy, because energy is plasmatic fields in motion. So light is, as Mr. Keshe describes it, he says it's a physical plasma entity, comparable to the plasma of a proton or an electron, but not in shape. And then he states, you know, if this was not the case, then the light would never be able to travel all the way through the universe. It would be absorbed, hitting objects, stars, galaxies, and it would never make it to the other side of the universe. But when light travels in the matter environment, the friction of the fields of the light with the matter environment's fields release tiny residual fields, as Mr. Keshe calls them, which are in the range as the human eye's retina cells proteins field strength. And so these residual fields is actually what we can observe. Only that is what we can observe. Now, coming back to how the light is created, because that should give us a hint as to how we can create light with what we have available. Mr. Keshe states in the book that when spherical, so that is a ball shape, maggrav fields interact, this, and he says this can lead to the creation and release of cylindrical magravs of light. So this word "can," in my opinion, is this is our struggle. So when these fields interact, it doesn't necessarily release cylindrical maggrav fields. It can release cylindrical maggrav fields. So we will have to find the right circumstances when this can becomes a reality, when in fact, you know, this does release cylindrical maggrav fields of light. Yeah, there were a few things which occurred during the week, which have occurred, or you know, which we discussed during the week, which have to do with that, because this was, you know, from before Mr. Keshe said, you know, forget about soldering and condensers and etc. etc. And so I was trying to make electricity by, you know, as we all have, by in this case it was layering copper coated, nano-coated copper, and touching it with aluminum foil, And I found that, when I was measuring the current that created them, if I squeezed it between my fingers, the more I pressed it, the higher the voltage and the current became. And then Mr. Keshe said, well, what you're doing is you're actually squeezing the layers, and you can only squeeze it so much, like a lemon. And when it's empty, so to say, you've squeezed 10,000 layers or how many you can squeeze, then nothing more will come. So then Mr. Keshe was explaining us, this is now back to the creation of light, that in fact these nanolayers of the nanolayers on copper can be used to create light if we force other plasma fields through these gaps. And first of all, he told us something that, when he was mentioning that, I said, oh yeah, you mentioned that, or I thought rather, I didn't say it, you mentioned that 2 years ago, or minimum 2 years ago in Belgium, I heard, 2.5 years ago, that, if you nanocoat a copper wire and you melt out the copper so that you're just left with the nanocoating, this has special properties of for electrical conduction, but in this case, Mr. Keshe was saying that if you would be able to have a tiny piece of this nano coating without the copper inside, and you would squeeze through, for instance, CH3 GaNs plasmatic fields, the friction inside would create light. And to pressurize it, as he was showing with the magnets, you have to use some bigger fields, like the fields of CO2, for instance, or copper oxide. So this is a way of thinking to create light, or as Mr. Keshe mentioned earlier in this workshop, by only using GaNSes and not nanolayers. Last night also, I came across an interesting concept. Some companies for some years have been working on working to develop glowing plants using they call it luciferin, I think, which fireflies use, and incorporating that in plants. So they have, to a certain extent, been able to develop plants which produce light. Then something else I was going to mention, but Mr. Keshe already mentioned that. He said it's when you mix GaNSes with the idea to create light or heat, because finally, the infrared range is so close to the light and it's heat. It's important that the water between the GaNs materials is in a GaN state too, and not in a matter state, because then it will block or make it difficult for the plasmatic fields of the GaNs materials to rotate and to interact. And then I asked, if in the containers what about the water in the containers, like where we do the production of the CO2 GaNs and other GaNSes? He said, yes, in these containers, the water is in GaN state. But also, what he mentioned again, if you drink water in the stomach, there is a plasmatic field, and this is created by the enzymes the stomach creates, and partially the saliva as well, which will instantly change the water into GaN's state of water. So all by all, we are still searching for the right understanding how to create light from interaction of plasmatic fields. So, and then I come back to this one sentence, which is probably the most important in this respect, that I found in the book. When spherical maggraph fields interact, this can lead to the creation and release of cylindrical maggraphs of light. And obviously in the book, but this may not be the most relevant to what we are searching for right now. There is the traveling of light through the universe, so in the center of these cylindrical composition of the light, in the center normally is the principal matter, and then around it the transition matter, and then around it the matter state. But the light can, as Mr. Keshe calls it, act as a chameleon and change these layers around to adapt to the medium it's traveling through. And so light is not bound to the speed of light in the matter environment as we know it, but if it's traveling in transition environment or principal environment, it can change its outer layer to these environments and adapt to it, and then reaches almost instantaneously from any corner of the universe, which is a totally opposite to what the science is saying nowadays, that it takes light years, so many light years to reach us. So this is about as far as I wanted to go, and I want to end with this sentence that I started with. We have come from the light. We operate through the light, and mankind, have to return to the light. So maybe there's a question or some questions that I may or may not be able to answer.
Actually, I just have a statement, and that is recently published a finding that they had, I'm talking about mainstream science, that they detected a X100,000 flare off of a star that is quote unquote 60 light years away. And that star, in my opinion, the light or the X-rays that they were detecting wouldn't take that long to get here to be able to be detected by detectors that they have. So what that's saying is that they are seeing it as it happens, as we've discussed before in these workshops, and they're just not understanding that. So that also could mean that because they say that it's 60 light years away, it could be much, much closer or much, much further away. And we have to develop tools to actually be able to measure that distance in terms of what we like. In terms of the gravitational magnetic field of that star, of course, we need different tools for that, say if we wanted to go there. So yes, I just wanted to bring that up and let people know that they did detect another star. This is the first time that they detected an X flare or a flare at all off of another star. So they are getting to the point that they're understanding that they can actually detect these things. So maybe they'll change their way of thinking in the future, especially with this latest information with the Keshe Foundation and the technology.
Okay, so that was my brief expose on the light and the structure of the light. I think I'll pass the microphone back to Mr. Keshe, because I saw that when I was mentioning this cylindrical fields can be released. He was writing down something. He wanted to say something about that, I think.
We'd also like to get Brett to ask his question once we have a moment.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much, Ivan. This is how we're going to do presentations from now on. Trying to cover a topic. And if we have something physically new to show, we show. Then instead of just to be there on the line to say something. And I think this puts more quality into the work than actually just filling time. What was just said by Ivan about if you put in the plasmatic coin changes to ray, it's very, very simple. When, if you've been to these coin machines where you put a 1 cent or 1 euro or 1 cent, euro cent into the machine, and then it comes out the other way, a very long piece of coin. It becomes elongated coin. I don't know if you've done that in children's playground. You can put like a 5 cents in, and then 5 cents goes through 2 rollers and become an elongated 5 cents. This is exactly what happens to you in a ray of light. When the magnetic fields are stronger, as they are plasmatic and cylindrical or spherical, the other lights which are weaker become like the coin which goes through 2 rollers and become elongated. So you don't travel in the speed of trying to come over. If you throw the coin, it's a spherical shape that it has to go to resist, to overcome the resistance of the air. But now that you made it like an arrow by strength, but elongated it, now it goes much faster. It's like an arrow. The same thing happens to the ray of light. Ray of light becomes elongated through the magnetic field, and with the beauty that the arrow has to be thrown, but a plasmatic gravitational field as a ray, it gets pulled by the point of destination gravitational magnetic field strength matching. So what this means is you don't need energy to throw the light to be seen, but you receive the ray of light according to your own gravitational magnetic field, which is at your strength. This is why this nonsense about 20,000 years, 100,000 years has no meaning. What you see on the surface of or as a light of a star is literally instantaneous what the light has released. Because it's not the first time the light has been released by the star. This light is continuously released. And when you tune according to the gravitational magnetic field of the light of the sun and the earth, what you call at the night time, that you can visually link into it through the gravitational magnetic field, the strength of your amino acid, you see it instantaneously. It's a zero time. What they measure 100,000 years is in matter state of the tools which are available. But what you see as a light of the point, because your body is made of plasmatic conditions, it's a gases of matters, your field tunes to that. Man will find out that they don't see all the matters in the universe, because not even all the matters release energy in that level. There are entities which to us is like nothing, but to the other creatures, according to gravitational magnetism, huge stars. Because we are not tuned, and the length is not, or has not reduced at the length to be at our observation. When the development of the science understanding goes further, very much as we don't see all the stars till it's dark and we can see through the atmosphere. When the man knowledge and the tools become available, we will be able to see a further development in the cycle of man, which means we'll be able to see across the wall of the universes and what's in the universes. This is the transparency of receiving the information at the wavelength which we can absorb. Because the hydrogen here, let's say atomic hydrogen, let's say neutron is 10 centimeter, because that's the base fundamental. In another universe could be 30 centimeter. But that's the fundamental matter in that universe. The fields radiated at 30 centimeter by the same gravitational magnetic field is different than what is at 10 centimeter. On Earth, let's say 15 centimeter is CO2, 25 centimeter is copper oxide. So the energy of one neutron in that galaxy, in that universe, is beyond copper, which is not detectable by us. This is what man will understand very soon. And this is what you tune to the point of position. This is what I said before. When I dial a telephone number, I dial in a certain location where it is. And it doesn't matter where it is, that phone receives, doesn't matter who carries the phone. Telephones are not made man destination. It's made for Mr. So-and-so in such a country. It's location, destination, number, according to what electronically as an electron current, whatever has been sent to be received by it. It's the same with the universes, with the galaxies. People who don't understand at the moment, to them is crazy because they're crazy themselves. They don't have the knowledge. As I always say, this technology will be understood according to the intelligence and understanding of the man. It goes back to the same thing as 18th century, 19th century. They said if you go faster than 25 miles an hour, your eyes will pop out and your ears will collapse. And we used to have a man with a flag walking in front of the car. So those people who to them is the same is because of the mentality of the scientists at that time. They're waiting for their eyes to pop out. Next question.
Sure. Can we get Brett to ask a question, please?
Sure.
Yes.
I just wanted to know if you could describe what some of the lights and what they look like when you mix the GANs together. Is it a glow? Is it more solid? Is it sparkles?
If you look at the book number 3, The Origin of the Universe, you will see colors in that spectrum. As I said, when Dirk and I were making the pictures, by printers not having to be able to do what we wanted, they created the colors which by accident, that's the destiny of man, we think accident, show different colors that we are expected and we are used to. This is what I was explaining to knowledge seekers yesterday. There is a handmade carpet about 60 centimeter by 120 centimeter. Is made of pure silk. This carpet is made, is the picture of the Last Supper. The original one, now there are a lot of copies of it. Was sold for millions about 15-20 years ago. In this carpet, even the beers of, bless his name, the Christ, has slight different colors of white. So in this thing, it's about 3,500 different colors have been used, even for one strand of beer. They've developed a color for it. So what you will see is a mixture of the 3,500. There are carpets produced that they have 35,000 different colors. And each one, these carpets are never seen in public. They are exclusivity of the people who make it. It takes years and something like 200-300 people work on it. These are the beauties of the art of the Iranian culture. These are what you don't see. Just if you see copies of it. But if you mix all these colors, it's what you will see in the colors of the universe. And in time, because if you don't understand why you see this such a spectrum, is because now you're not dealing with metal at this given current. You're dealing with the spectrometer plasma of a magnetic field of one plasma with the spectrometer gravitational magnetic field of another plasma. So it's not a clash of two titans, it's a clash of God knows 100 soldiers. So you get what Yvonne said. The cylindrical. Each field interacts with its own strength. So it creates its own color. So the colors man will see in the universe is not so just red or just white. You see a spectrum of red in conjunction with the colors above and below and amongst it. They are beautiful colors. Colors of rainbow, as you call it in the universe, is not the same as what you see individual colors. Because now is not two metals. It's a metal made of copper, made of steel, made of wood, and each one makes the noise, one makes the spark, one makes a different kind of sparks. So now you get a plasma. And plasmas on different lectures, different layers in interaction release different packages. It's a beautiful thing to see outside, and the man is so stupid he deprives himself of it. What's the next question?
Well, we are coming around on the 3-hour mark. In fact, we're over 3 hours now. 3 hours and 5 minutes.
No, we're here. We're just looking for questions.
Yes.
Anybody else on the
I thought
go-to
maybe
meeting have any
want
questions?
Well, we are up to the 3-hour mark here, 3 hours and 5 minutes. So probably want to continue a little bit longer, but maybe 1 or 2 more questions if somebody has one.
Please, I go back to it. Do not forget to support the foundation with the donations. Doesn't matter, we can make gold. If we make gold, then the gold have no value. We can't pay the foundation workers and the supporters. So now you might understand why we don't make gold. So if you, for 3 hours worth €1, 16, 20, 150,000 people can help to do a lot for research and development. There is this very interesting point when I was talking to the scientists in Africa. Here we walk, we can go anywhere and get any piece of copper and copper wire or whatever. In Africa, to make the first cancers and you're having the copper plates, we had to send a man a few hundred kilometers to be able to find it. If we find a solution, or at least part of the solution, there will be no solutions, but solutions to other problems, through the research which started yesterday in Africa, we need for the survival of ourselves to be able to purchase and send copper to Africa, that they can produce it, that the Ebola does not get to us. And that's where the foundation sits. We have opened the channels, we have to be able to do that job. So, if you get to the habit of even paying €1 per workshops you sit in for, and it's hundreds of thousands of you, the foundation can do its job to protect humanity its own way. We take what we need, and I've said this before. If I go to a restaurant, I pay the bill through the Keshe Foundation. That in the future there is no thing he goes and eats and whatever, and everything goes to the taxman. And if I sell a single book, again goes to the Keshe Foundation. If I receive a donation to me or somebody pays us, it goes into the foundation. I take what I need and I support the way it is. Now it's becoming too big, it needs everybody else. And if you are a habit of stealing and telling you are stolen, then that's my way. So we give it to you free, at least your soul doesn't have to pay the punishment. Somebody asked me why the knowledge seekers position is as it is around the table. Some knowledge seekers came to us 7 months ago with different thoughts of what they were expecting from knowledge seekers. Some knowledge seekers came here to be, at least to their level, to help humanity. But we found out by nature they are thieves, so we let them go because they explained how they're stolen. And if I allow somebody who's by nature is stealing other man's effort and is proud of it, to stand in front of the man he's stolen from, he doesn't deserve to be here, then I encourage thieving. And that's against my ethos. And that's why Marek is not here. He told me he downloaded the book, first freely of where he could take it from. And to me, as a scientist who put the book How to Support the Foundation was below my acceptance, and that's why Marek is not around this table. even though whatever talent and quality he had. Because this is a man's nature. Unless the nature changes, then it's different. Even though we gave him the books extra again freely. Jorge is not here because of the position he got himself into. Again, it's the responsibility I'm here, the foundation has to do. But you made an agreement, you keep to yours. The Coco's case is well known. We don't need to discuss why she came and what she left and what gift she brought us. So, if you come with the tented ideas that will not be on the table, we know, but we don't discuss. And if you ask why knowledge seekers change in a way, around this table, is according to their souls and their behaviors. So, we don't make difference. It's them who have to decide how clear they are. The ones who go on and speak rubbish and all sorts of things, they got kicked out of the meeting while they were praying, they have to find answer for themselves why. Not to taint the knowledge and not to taint the foundation. The ones who go and come to the foundation, like what we had in the Keshe Foundation Center, they come with the Porsches and the top cars and they say they have no money because it's in the hand of the wife. What's her name? Desiree can tell you. Then they have to live with their own soul. We did not stop treating them, and the guy who could not even fly had 6 months time to live because of the heart, what do you call it, lung condition. Now he travels to Caribbeans to buy a villa, but wife cannot allow him that we saved his life. So we leave that to the souls to settle, not the foundation to work with it. We still accept knowledge seekers because the spread cannot be the few. Otherwise this table will be empty in about 20 years because we're all going to die. So if you're a knowledge seekers, true knowledge seekers, and you want to be here and you can cover your expenses, or a bunch of you can cover each other's expenses, that you can be here to work with peace of mind, not to worry what the wife will have in the country where you left them, or the children, you're quite welcome. Is there any other question?
I think that was a great way to wrap it up, actually.
Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you very much for everybody. I thank again the people who are working behind the scene to bring a lot of things across, and I thank especially the people from New Zealand in showing us a new way to share knowledge in such an easy way that everybody can do. Because now you can just buy the book and put it in Google Translator and translate it to the language you need. You don't even need somebody to translate it for you. Thank you very much for your effort. And thanks very much, Rick and Vince, for everything you're doing.
Thank
Goodbye.
you too.
Thank you for the knowledge, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, thank you for
Thank you
everything.
indeed. See you tomorrow with the health knowledge seekers.
Yes, I'll be there
Thank you
at this
indeed.
time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that wraps up.
Thank you indeed. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. That wraps up the 30th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Thank you, everybody, and especially on live stream there. Had how many viewers? There's about 60 viewers on there right now, I think. Okay. Bye for now.
Lots of information on this workshop, and thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, gentlemen.